Good evening and welcome to TDM Talk Show. I'm your host, Kelsey Wilhelm. Our guest tonight is Mike Goodridge, Artistic Director of the International Film Festival and Awards Macau, now in its 4th edition. Celebrating his 3rd consecutive year in the role, Goodridge is here to shed some light on the novelties of this year's edition, including new segments such as the 20th Anniversary Macau special presentations. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good evening.
It's good to have you here again for your 3rd time in this role as Artistic Director of the festival. And we've seen quite a bit of growth of the festival and new things being added. Specifically this year, we have the 20th Anniversary Macau special presentations, as Macau is simultaneously going to be celebrating its 20th anniversary. And we did film the show actually before the red carpet, so we'll probably be on air right now as the red carpet is happening. So it's an exciting time for Macau. How has it been for you now in your 3rd consecutive year?
Well, it's been very exciting because it takes a couple of years to get into the role and to really enjoy the place where you are, which is Macau, and sort of feel the rhythms and the audience appetites for the films. But it's especially exciting because it's the 20th anniversary month in December, of course, and I think the festival is sort of kicking off the celebration, so there's extra responsibility this year.
Yeah, I bet. And have you gotten to know more about Macau in the times that you've been able to come back here?
Gosh, yes. I'm very fond of Macau and sort of in love with Macau because it's such a unique place, and I think that was one of the real attractions for me to take this job was because I realized that people would want to come and visit Macau and come to a film festival here from overseas, and there's no place like it.
Now we're kicking off the festival, you are kicking off the festival with quite a bang and a very interesting, complex black comedy, Jojo Rabbit. It's directed and written by Taika Waititi, and who has directed and will be directing another Thor movie.
That's right, yes.
So this is a bit of a different film.
He's a New Zealander. He's made 6 or 7 films. He's extremely experienced and very skilled. And his sort of genius is comedy, but he blends that comedy with pathos and tragedy quite effectively. In his New Zealand films like Hunt for the Wilder People and Boy, and then of course he got a big Hollywood break making Thor Ragnarok, which was enormously successful, and so he's a huge deal now in Hollywood, and that allowed him to make Jojo Rabbit.
I bet, yeah, because it takes a lot of creative licenses and takes some big steps. I mean, he himself plays a role within the film. Who does he play?
He plays a character called Adolf Hitler.
Oh, I believe he's familiar with.
Yeah, it's a very daring film. I mean, I was nervous before I saw it. I didn't know whether it would work or not because he's set it in Nazi Germany.
Okay.
It's about a little Nazi kid.
He's like 8 years old or something.
He's 8 years old. He's called Jojo, and he is in Hitler Youth, and he's very confused, trying to understand this world that he's in. He has an imaginary friend.
Okay, played by Waititi,
Mr.
right?
Hitler, yeah,
okay.
Played by Taika. And his mother is secretly in the resistance.
Okay.
And everything changes for Jojo when he finds...
And that's Scarlett Johansson is playing
Scarlett
his mother,
Johansson
right?
is his mother.
Good choice.
And everything changes when he finds a Jewish girl hidden in the attic.
Okay.
And he has to start confronting the realities of his situation.
I have to ask, such an interesting, multifaceted film. How did this come to be the opening film of the festival?
I was looking at it and thinking, if he pulls it off,
yeah.
It could be very entertaining. But then I saw it at its world premiere in Toronto Film Festival this year in September, and the audience loved it, and I loved it. And it's moving, and you laugh, and you laugh a lot, and you cry a lot too. And I thought this is the perfect film for us. It then won the Audience Award at Toronto, which is quite something because there are about 300 films there.
Okay.
And then it went on to play the London Film Festival, where it got standing ovations. So I realized that the film really appeals and is a real crowd pleaser. And that's what you want for opening night. You want to get people engaged straight away and really having a good time. And
I mean, you came off a very successul one from last year. The Green Book went on to win multiple Oscars in various categories. Yeah, were you expecting that?
No, I mean, I'm a big fan of Green Book. I thought it was a beautiful film, but I didn't expect it to win the Best Picture Oscar, which it did. So I'm not saying that Jojo Rabbit will do that, but I think Jojo Rabbit will be in the Oscar conversation.
Well, let's see. This year is also going to be featuring 3 competition sections. We have the international competition, there's the new Chinese cinema. Those both have separate juries.
Yes.
Why was that the case?
Well, we expanded our new Chinese cinema section, which is Chinese language films, not just from the mainland or Macau or Hong Kong, but also Taiwan, Singapore, Malaysia, anywhere that speaks Chinese. And we wanted to really shine a spotlight internationally and locally on the richness that's coming out of the cinema in this region. And then we just wanted to have a bigger competition, really. And 2 juries is a great way of bringing more people in to see the films.
Now, I am curious, the composition of the jury itself, the new Chinese cinema jury, is not only comprised of people who are from the mainland, as some may assume would be the case. So you have the president is Christian Mungiu from Romania.
Yes.
And so how were these jury members chosen? How did that
Well, I
selection
wanted
process happen?
the Chinese jury to be led by a non-Chinese person.
Okay.
Because I want the festival to represent a global view on Chinese cinema, and I want us to be able to showcase these films to international guests and give them an entree into the world of Chinese film, rather like Macau is a gateway into China. Just give them a taste, because I feel that while there are a handful of Chinese films that play globally and are very successful, the real sort of depth of Chinese cinema isn't known in the West, and I think there's some amazing filmmakers coming out now.
And we're going to be seeing quite a few of these films over the course of the December 5th to December 10th festival. The international film, there's also going to be the international competition, which has first and second time filmmakers competing
From
for a
around the world.
$60,000 US dollar.
$60,000 cash prize.
Wow, and
Yeah.
we've got everyone from people from New Zealand to Indonesia to Luxembourg to Canada, China. That's amazing. Also, but we have this year, we're going to have a large Macau segment. We're going to have a focus on the Macau segment.
Yes, very exciting.
How have you seen in terms of Macau's participation so far? I know that Macau is in terms of regionally, Hong Kong has a relatively developed film market and is a production hub. The mainland obviously is going to become the biggest in the world. How has Macau's participation been so far in the festival, and do you hope for it to grow further?
Well, yes, I absolutely hope for it to grow further, and the festival is part of our mandate is to participate in the growth of the industry here. I mean, I am a bit puzzled actually as a newcomer a few years ago why Macau doesn't have its own indigenous industry. Yes, it's much smaller than Hong Kong, but Hong Kong has, decades of heritage in cinema, in filmmaking. And I really was curious that Macau hasn't. So I know the government is very passionate about changing that story and building not just a handful of great directors, but a proper infrastructure in Macau of people who can work cameras and run editing suites and, actually make films here. Because, as I said, this is an amazing, special place, and it should be on camera more.
And I mean, there is money that is being generated that can be disposable to the arts.
Yeah.
And I think I'd even asked you last year when I'd spoken with you, does Macau need a film school? Do you think that the need for a film school has either increased or decreased since then?
I think I know a lot of the universities are doing courses and postgraduate courses in filmmaking and film theory. So a film school would be an addition to that. But I think we're at the beginning of a very exciting groundswell of activity where the film industry will start yielding great results. I mean, it already is, because we have 5 feature films that we're showing.
Yes, this is true. So also as a part of the 20th anniversary Macau special presentations, we have Ina in the Blue Tiger Sauna. There's a lot of different genres explored within the 20th anniversary special. So the Ina and the Blue Tiger Sauna seems to examine Macau's underworld, some of the sauna aspect, the gangster aspect, some of the tones which are typically associated with Macau historically. But then you have something like Let's Sing, which is more of a teen drama with singing. So how has the storytelling aspect of the local directors and the local screenwriters. We know that they're evolving. We know that they don't have the advantages that they would have being in some place like Hong Kong or let's say Los Angeles. But are these directors improving with time? Are you seeing more of a comprehensive showing from Macau?
I think so, and I think it's you know, the troubling thing about making films is that it's a very expensive medium to practice in. You know, you need practice to make good films. And I think all these young filmmakers are showing great promise in what they're doing. And as you say, there's a great variety of genres at play here. You know, from Ina, which is this hard-boiled noir thriller, to Let's Sing, which is a comedy, to some of the short films in Years of Macau, which display a completely different range of styles.
Because there's 9 different directors and 9 different short films comprising Years of Macau, correct?
There are, yes, and it's specifically designed, filmed to sort of reflect the 20 years of the SAR. So it's a really fascinating glimpse at how young filmmakers look at their city.
Mm-hmm. And opportune timing, considering the 20 years of Macau.
Perfect.
In regards to some of the other themes that you're seeing, or the types of films that people are making nowadays internationally, do you find that there are any main genres that they're going toward? Is there any similar type of storytelling style that people are starting to go into nowadays? Maybe because of current events, maybe because of the time in our lives?
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. I really feel that there are, we're starting to see filmmaking reflect the chaos, the particular chaos of our world today, either by telling stories through genre, which I think you see in films like Joker or Parasite, in big blockbuster terms, or going back and telling historical stories from the past that have particular resonance today. One film I particularly love is Terrence Malick's new film that we're playing here on Saturday, which is called A Hidden Life, which is a story from World War II in Austria about a farmer a happily married farmer, father of 2 children, who refuses to sign his Pledge of Allegiance to Hitler.
Okay.
And it's a story of principle and nobility that I think shows that film is looking to inspire people in these particularly difficult times.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned a film like Joker. I don't think that that's quite meant to be a film that's meant to inspire. Well,
no, but
maybe
I think
it's
it
more
reflects,
of a critique. Yeah.
It reflects the sort of the haves and the have-nots and some of the issues that I think are facing every country in the world at the moment.
Now we will see, obviously, because of Macau's role as a platform and its very, very close links given the 20th anniversary, we see a very strong showing of Chinese cinema, but Macau also has the role of playing a platform between China and Portuguese-speaking countries. Can we expect to see any, aside from some of the local Portuguese directors who are participating, such as Antonio Faria, can we expect to see any Portuguese films?
We have 2 Portuguese language films, one from Portugal, one from Brazil.
Okay.
On Friday night at 7 p.m. in Cultural Centre, we're playing The Domain, A Herdade, which is a Portuguese film, a superb film, an epic story of 6 decades in the 20th century.
Wow.
In Portuguese life, told through the story of a particularly turbulent family of landowners.
Okay.
It's directed by Tiago Quedes and produced by Paulo Branco, the great legendary film producer, who is actually coming to Macau to present the film. So we're very excited about that.
Well, what else can we see? We have a shorts competition that's going to be happening this year. And that'll be selecting from films from mainland China, Hong Kong, and Macau.
Yes, we want to encourage the regional short films in Chinese language. As part of our sort of mandate to reflect first-time and second-time filmmakers, we really want to give that platform to brand new shorts.
Okay. Great. Well, more power to them. There are also some very, I mean, I was just checking out the various, there's so many films here, and there's so much to be looked at and examined that it's worth it to watch as many as possible. But just some of the interesting ones that I'd seen within the new Chinese cinema, Lucky Grandma. It's a mahjong grandmother in New York.
Yes, it's an American film actually, but it's 95% in Mandarin.
Okay.
It's set in Chinatown in New York, and it's about a grandmother who just doesn't want to give up her independence.
Okay. So we have stories like that, and then you go into other films, as in the special presentations category, with such as Dark Waters, which talks about chemical pollution and DuPont chemicals.
Yeah, Dark Waters is a brand new film actually that's just opened in the United States last week, starring Mark Ruffalo in the true story of a lawyer who uncovers corruption within DuPont, the chemicals giant, and takes them to court. And it's a wonderful, wonderful film by Todd Haynes, the great American director.
You also have, you had recently announced the talent ambassadors for this year's edition of the festival, and Juliette Binoche. Why Juliette? And
gosh, why not? I mean, she's
yes,
one of
exactly.
the great actors in the world, I think, at the moment, and has been for a few decades. She's such a luminous screen presence and a brilliant person. So when she said yes, it was a sort of an easy one to lock down.
And she's not only going to be the talent ambassador, but she's also going to share some of her insights on December 9th. She's going to be having in conversation.
She is, and she'll also be introducing her new film, The Truth.
Okay.
Which is a French film, but it's directed by the great Japanese director Koreeda.
Okay.
Hirokazu Koreeda. His first non-Japanese film, so it's a lovely film, and she'll be there to present it.
Okay, great. We've got two other masterclass or talks which are going to be happening. We have the BAFTA masterclass, which should be very interesting, with Lily James.
Yes, Lily James is coming, and she's a really dynamic young actress who's one of the leading young actresses in the world, and she's still under the age of 30. But she's had some enormous success in Cinderella, on TV in Downton Abbey, and in Mamma Mia too.
Okay. Yeah, so she took on, you had mentioned earlier, Meryl Streep now. Who was
she? Played young Meryl Streep.
She played a young Meryl Streep. Right.
So that's quite a challenge for her.
All right. And then also we have the South Korean filmmaker Kim Yong-hwa coming on December 7th, so two days from now, to give another masterclass in South Korean filmmaking. That should be very interesting.
It is. He's kind of like the Steven Spielberg of Korea. He made these films Along with the Gods and its sequel, Along with the Gods 2. And he is going to be talking about working on a huge scale with special effects.
Okay.
That's going to be fascinating because he's really one of the biggest directors in the region.
Well, one of the most recent ones, it didn't dethrone Train to Busan from the first place, but it came second. Is that right?
It took over from Train to Busan.
Took over from Train. Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
Very popular films in Korea.
So we have a chance to learn how to do that.
Yeah. If only.
All right. What about for the international competition? Was there any particular method of selection?
Well, our curation is quite detailed. I mean, I work with about 5 programming consultants, and we see hundreds of films.
Yeah.
And I'm not kidding when I say hundreds. It's between us probably over 1,000 films this year, and we're really looking for something special, because I think audiences in Macau, like everywhere, want something exciting, they want something fresh, and they want something new. There are a lot of films out there in the world that we have to plow through, but I think when you see something different. Something surprising. So I think that's what we were looking for. And we're looking at first and second time directors, so it's that whittles it down a bit.
Okay.
But it's still a big challenge.
I noticed that if you check the website of the IFFAM, it'll have synopsises of the films, and many times they're written by yourself. And to a very large extent, they're written by yourself. How do you stay objective after watching so many films? Or is the point to be subjective?
I think being subjective is the point, yeah, especially when you're a programmer. Obviously, I'm always thinking through the lens of Macau. Will it work with Macau audiences? Am I pushing the boundaries here? Is this gonna be a difficult one? But I work very collaboratively, with my team, and we sort of. We argue a lot about which films are going to work and which aren't,
Well, good. I think that you've done a pretty good choice so far. There's over 50 international films which are going to be a part. What about in regards to the industry hub? Because we'd mentioned, well, here, let me retarget first. I questioned about the directors and the overall industry within Macau, but you mentioned the audiences. The audiences are a very key part of that. And how long does it take, or will it take, to be able to expand the horizons of Macau's audiences? Because throughout the year, aside from the film festival and what is the programs which are running through Cinematheque Passion and some of the other places, mostly what we get is the blockbusters, the Chinese blockbusters and the American blockbusters. So trying to develop a film appreciation here could take some time. Do you expect that we can start to see more of that within, say, 5 years' time?
I think so. Look, I think the Cinematheque has done an incredible job of a year-round program, and I love that place. I think it's magnificent. And the festival is also part of that movement to expand the horizons. You don't want to sound condescending. You want to just be able to offer a wider palette of films than the Hollywood or big Chinese films that are available here. So I think that's what we're trying to do is just sort of put on offer and hopefully get people in to discover something and think, oh, that was quite interesting. I might go and see another.
There's a specific example of that, which I think the director's choice. So these are film classics which have been selected by Asian and non-Asian filmmakers. And if you look at the dates of them, they were made in between the 50s, or they were put out in between the 50s and mid-60s, basically. What is your expectation for the audience attendance of those?
Well, those films are showing at the Cinematheque Passion, and they've all sold out.
Okay.
Instantly, in fact, which is really interesting.
Okay.
I mean, they are
That
three
is
legendary films.
Yes, but still, given how quickly technology progresses and how many films are out there, it can be tough, I would expect, to attract a younger audience as well.
You would think so, but I found in my 3 years that the classic films sell really well here, and that there's a real interest in them. We are showing 400 Blow Up, and Tokyo Story, which are three of the great classics of all time, but nonetheless, they're going to be introduced by three brilliant directors. And I think that it's a very special occasion. A film festival can do that, can sort of have a few random classics to sort of shake it up.
I've asked you this before, and you've been able to avoid giving me a definite answer. Do you have a favorite film for this year?
Oh gosh, I love all the films we're playing, or else they wouldn't be playing. I love the Terrence Malick film, and I love the Portuguese film, The Domain. The Correia film starring Juliette Binoche and Catherine Deneuve is quite lovely. And Jojo Rabbit's a total winner. But yeah, each film has something very specific. We're showing a couple of, outside the new Chinese cinema section, a couple of really strong Chinese films that have played at the top festivals in the world, including The Wild Goose Lake by Jiao Yunan, who's also coming here, which are really world-class films. You know, so there's a wide range of films to see.
And what about next year?
What about
Are you looking forward to next year as well?
Haven't quite got my head into next year yet, but I'm really excited about growing the festival further and seeing what works this year. We do have a very special event on Saturday afternoon, which is we're screening the animated film Shaun the Sheep 2.
Yes, I noticed that.
Farmageddon.
Farmageddon.
But we actually have some specialists who are coming from Aardman Animations, which is a production company in the West Country of England, and they are going to teach a few classes how to make claymation animated figures. Specifically, I think you're going to be able to make your own Shaun the Sheep. Okay,
that'll be good.
So I think there are lots of things you can do around the festival and to bring in young people, to bring in the family.
Okay. Well, we have 6 days of festival, which are kicking off today, and some amazing films which are going to be out there. So please, I would tell the audience to go out there, watch not only one, but multiple films.
Many films, please.
Many films. We have 4 main venues, which 4 locations, 5 venues. The Cultural Center of Macau, the Cinematheque Passion, the Macau Tower, and the Old Courthouse.
Yes, the Old Courthouse building, we've developed a little cinema in there, which I think will be really special.
Great. Well, all of the information as for the times, the director's synopsis by yours truly, are up on the website. Thank you very much for being on the show, and I wish you a very, very successful IFFAM 2019.
Thank you, Casey.
An exciting lineup of films throughout the festival, so don't miss out. That's all for this evening, but join us again next week for more TDM Talk Show. Good night.